Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Oxwide. We've got a lot in this episode, so let's start straight away with the Building a Fairer Oxleas 5-Step Challenge. All our teams are encouraged to participate, and recently we held a special event to thank those who've already completed the challenge. Here's how it went.
This event today is celebrating those teams who have achieved the 5-Step Challenge and who are using that experience to improve or to change what they're doing and how they deliver what they're doing and how they relate to one another.
I am really excited to be here, really delighted to see the number of teams who've taken up this challenge. It's been fantastic to hear the work they've done, given that we started this 3 years ago and how far we've come. This has been wonderful. And I cannot imagine what it would look like if we had many more teams adopt this challenge.
I think the thing that really stuck with me is what a difference it's made to the culture within teams. So people started something, they weren't quite sure what it would be like, maybe a bit of nervousness and anticipation at the outset. But what's really been talked about today is how it's improved psychological safety within the team, how it's helped the teams to bond more than they used to, and that real sense of teams coming together around the BAFO 5-Step Challenge has been fantastic.
The thing I really liked about today is that colleagues are also talking about what BAFO means for people who use our services, and that's something that I'm really keen for us to think more about. We've got a group that is starting to help us as an organisation think about inequalities, think about how we start addressing those, and really it's about the link between BAFO and that work. So the work we've done to make people feel comfortable with talking about inequalities will really help us when we're having those conversations with service users and their families and their carers, also when we're planning these things as well.
You're in the quality management team, and today you're amongst some of the first teams to be accredited for BAFO, Building a Fairer Oxleas. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, so I joined the team in September, so it does feel like I've been in the team for a very long time, because they've just, the whole Building a Fairer Oxleas, philosophy, culture. I feel engaged, I feel really part of the team, and it's just been an amazing amazing person to witness the whole Building the Fairer Oxleas.
So if you look at our executive team, I think it's quite unusual, certainly unusual outside of the NHS, but I think even within the NHS, because the majority of the exec are women or identify as women. So we talked about that and acknowledged it, and we talked about how great it is.
Difference is different for different teams. So for some teams it might be that they've only got one male member of staff. What does that mean for that staff member? How can we work better to make that staff member feel included? For others it might be hidden disabilities, it might be sexual orientation. Whatever it is, we want the opportunity for people to say what it is and what else we can do to make life easier for them. So take the time to think about it and we can do it together.
Myself and the equality team, we are happy to come into teams to discuss more about 5-Step Challenge and to go through the 5 steps and go through the activity pack.
What do you think's been the most benefit that the team have got from the accreditation?
I think that whole team engagement, so getting to know each other, I think that personality test was really good, because we was able to understand and kind of relate with each other and understand, yes, actually I can see why we are getting along, and it just, that kind of says it all for me.
Once you get comfortable, once you start having those conversations, it gets easier to have conversations that might be uncomfortable for some, but it's starting it. That's the key thing. I think starting those conversations, understanding and seeing things from other people's perspectives, then you start to get used to it. And don't feel uncomfortable or to ask questions. If you don't understand, it's best to ask questions than to assume.
This notion of collaborating, sharing ideas, thinking about how people can go further. So it's not just about we've done the 5-Step Challenge and therefore we stop. It's about how do we improve it.
BAFO is as good as the conversations that we have, and it's the kind of thing that is built on those conversations, and it's one conversation at a time, and that's how hopefully we'll start to win people's hearts and minds.
As we all know, The NHS is now 75 years old, and we've been celebrating in lots of different ways. One of these was taking part in the parkruns up and down the country. We took our cameras out to Avery Hill Park in Greenwich to cover one of these, so let's see how it went.
It's the 75th anniversary for the NHS, and Parkrun decided to kind of collaborate with the NHS and offer Parkrun and kind of basically a bit of promotional awareness raising for NHS staff to come and do a bit of physical activity.
It's a particularly special event because we're marking the 75th anniversary of our wonderful NHS.
I really enjoy myself, I really enjoy my time. This is the first time I'm doing parkrun, but I really enjoy it. Very interesting, very energetic. And I want to say I really appreciate those people that have put this event together.
It was great. Very hot, a little bit sweaty, a few little mild hills, but I'm used to running in Greenwich Park, so it felt very manageable. It was great fun.
It was definitely a challenge. I've been training a little bit, but it's amazing what you can do when you set your mind to things, you know, and coming together as a team really helped make it that bit easier, you know. Just whenever it was tough, you felt your team with you, and yeah, it was really good.
It was hard work, it was hot, but once in a while, two things that I'm very passionate about kind of come together. I'm passionate about the NHS and working in the NHS, and I'm also passionate about parkrun. I love it. It's so inclusive. It's a great form of exercise. You get people of all sizes, shapes, age doing it. And it's just such a great way to start a Saturday.
I've done just over 200 parkruns now, and it's fantastic in so many ways. I've made so many friends. It's a really great social occasion. It's made a massive difference to my health, fitness. You feel so good afterwards. I do it with my wife as well. She runs parkrun with me. You know, it's all round. It's such a good thing to do, and it's about a part of a lifetime of being healthy, of being fit, building kind of fitness into your day-to-day life, really.
I saw a gentleman came to me just now. He said the wife just had a hip replacement, so he has come to say thank you to the NHS.
What kind of struck me was to see all the staff come together. Some have never done parkrun before, some have done 150 parkruns. So we had a big range of staff with different fitness levels, with different capabilities. We had some that walked, some that run, I think some even crawled, but we all finished. It was good at the end where we all come together, had a group photo. And I think for a lot of them, well, all of them, it will stay in their memory for a long, long time, and a great way to mark 75 years at NHS.
I find this very interesting, very energetic, tiring, but I made it, we made it, yay!
Yeah, it's good trust for just coming together and doing what we can as a team for the people we care for and for each other.
Now, we've been working closely with Bromley, Lewisham and Greenwich Mind to develop a new joint service. The Bromley Mental Health Hub has now been formally announced in a celebratory event in Beckenham. Let's find out more about it in this film.
Today is the chance to celebrate how far we've come with building the Bromley Mental Health Hub as a collaboration between BLG Mind and Oxleas Trust.
Previously, a lot of the services were quite fragmented, and so, if you came into mental health services and you had housing problems, you didn't have a job, you wanted to find a job, you needed additional support, you were lonely, you would have to go to lots of different places, where now there's one place you can go to. You can access clinical support as well as employment advisors and peer support, and other wellbeing support.
So this is about really, they'll come through that front door, they'll have one assessment, they'll tell their story once, and we should have all of the resources in one place to then meet their needs. I think really importantly as well, it is about early intervention.
What we're aiming to do in the hub is a very broad assessment of somebody's needs based upon their own priorities. So to find out what they want to work on, what's important to them, and it might be family relationships, it might be they're unemployed, it might be housing issues. So we're looking to find out what impacts on their mental health, and then to put them in touch with the best kind of help tailored around that.
Yeah, this is a preventative approach. For people who would otherwise have ended up in A&E, in mental health services, in more intensive Oxleas teams, instead they'll be able to get tailored support for them across the voluntary sector and a wonderful partnership with Mind, as well as that clinical oversight and support which is still there from Oxleas.
They won't have to sit on a long waiting list and kind of become anxious about what it is they're waiting for, which is often something that patients aren't clear about. So I think it really does improve their experience. We're seeing really good early signs of that at the moment, so people are coming to the groups, we've got really good attendance rate.
What sorts of communities have you been able to engage with that previously we hadn't had much success with?
Mostly the faith groups, which I found were not very represented within the services because they have lots of concerns. Most people tend to stay within their communities rather than seeking support from professional services, and this is kind of a mistrust they have for within the mental health services, because some people just tend not to talk about mental health anyway. Also the traveller communities, which have been really interesting because they don't engage, they normally just stay within their communities. They don't like engaging with other communities because they've been discriminated against so many times.
So you can see a practitioner in the hub one week, and then the next week you can start the programme. And it's based upon helping people to manage difficult emotions, manage anxiety, any of sleep, diet and exercise, all the things that we know are going to be helpful to people with their mental health. We aim to get them into the programme very quickly.
It's a really amazing opportunity, and it should mean for some people, they never even reach a point where their challenges become a mental health problem.
The feedback from patients has been really positive. So yeah, really hopeful that it's making a huge difference.
This is another example of really great out-of-hospital care. This is not more beds in inpatient units. This is people being able to live where they want to in their own communities, supported by their family and friends where they live, and being able to access really great services still with Oxleas and with their partnership with Mind in their own communities.
It feels quite a momentous moment to be able to go out to people who will be stakeholders in the hub, who might refer into the hub, who might have connections with people who need the services that we offer in the hub, and be able to say, we're here, and you can start telling people what's on offer and the great range of support.
Back in June, it was Learning Disability Week, and as always, our fantastic ALD team were at Bexley Heath Sports Club, this time celebrating with a fun and fitness day. Over to Sharon.
It started off as a fun day about 7 years ago, but it's grown into a day to network, really, and for people to get to know each other and just to have a fun day to support their mental health and also in turn the physical health. So in some ways it's a win-win situation for people with learning disabilities, and raising awareness in our community is so important.
I think that certainly as learning disability services,
we're not always the greatest at marketing what we have to offer. I think we've got some really highly specialist and really skilled clinicians in our directorate, so it's brilliant to actually be able to showcase what we can do, what we can offer, and to really be able to talk to people about what opportunities are out here and get them to try new things, and for us to be able to kind of reach out to the service users and their carers. This is exactly the right type of event.
Bexley Menscap, we offer activities, groups and sports services to people with learning disabilities as well as their families. I think it's been really well supported, and I hope that people will come away with lots of positive outcomes and they're aware of more opportunities in the area.
I'm a membership engagement officer, and I listen to members what they want and just get people signed up with our newsletters. Yes, I enjoy it and it's been really good. Yeah, get to know for Bexley Menscap and what we offer.
The tennis group's been going 3 years now. It's a great story. We started off on Zoom during lockdown, playing with softballs and with saucepans, anything we get our hands on. And the guys would practice every week. Tennis is such a good sport for hand-eye coordination, concentration, routines, building stamina and friendships, of course, as well. So we started playing in groups, individually, over the net. And then we won an award. We won the best disability tennis programme from Kent LTA. So the group's really stuck together, learn skills, friendships, and above all, they're enjoying themselves, practicing their skills individually and as a group.
Really nice to kind of show boxing that it can appeal to all sorts of people. You know, you don't have to be skilled to do it. It's not an aggressive sport. You can just come along and have a go, a bit of fun. Yeah, it's been a real laugh.
Judo in Japanese means the gentle way. So, well, that looks aggressive. You know, it's all about surrendering an opponent rather than actually hurting them. And as you see on the mat today, we had some, great guys and girls that came on, gave it a go. And like I say, it's about modifying it as well, modifying it to their levels.
How did you find the judo?
Yeah, I find it absolutely interesting. I can't wait to do it again.
Is it the first time you've tried?
Yeah, first time ever tried.
You did really well. So do you think you will take it up?
Yeah, I will take it up.
So what's the best bit been for you?
Best thing being here is having great fun, join all the people, chat to them when I get a chance, and eat all the good fruit.
So we were invited along to this amazing event to offer our support, to provide some kind of physical session that everyone can get involved in, to bring people together and to get people active as well. So we were delighted to be part of it and to come down today. And there's so many smiles on their faces, and it's great to see whether they're able to strike the ball or do the skills. It was just that engagement and that participation, which you can see them smiles on their faces.
Liam, how have you found today?
Really well. I enjoyed like the tennis and the boxing and everything.
So how many people have you been talking to? You enjoyed the conversations and
Yes, I
engaging?
did, like with people I know from Menscap, and some people who came here I recognise.
Today the best part was everyone's here, all different organisations, talk about learning disabilities and all different people play football and stuff like that really.
It's been such an amazing day considering the weather this morning, but the sun has been kind to us, and to see so many people here has been absolutely fantastic.
We're playing some nutmeg game with one of the guys from Skills Academy, and I tripped up, I fell over. But I didn't hurt myself, but he said, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I said, "I'm okay."
It also fits in with the great out-of-hospital care, which is one of our priorities, and within our directorate it enables people with learning disabilities to get out the house, do some activities, connect with people and stay well.
Finally, trauma-informed care is becoming an important approach at Oxleas. Our forensic and offender healthcare team recently made some films to help staff understand the principles of trauma-informed care. The films premiered at a special event at Goldsmiths University in New Cross, so we went along.
So trauma-informed care matters in prisons because we're working with a population of people that have experienced significant trauma within their lives. And we need to understand that and understand how that affects them and support the system, because trauma-informed is about organisational change and supporting the system to grow and to understand that when we see kind of violence or we see behaviours, this is a communication. How do we understand that from a trauma perspective? It's about bringing together the multidisciplinary teams that work in prison to think about the agenda of creating safer prisons by understanding what's happened to people and how we can work with that.
It also matters because what characterises the majority of those in prison is emergence from deprivation. They've come from backgrounds classically associated with trauma, abuse, adverse childhood events. You know, it's I think the number one defining variable of those who end up in prisons.
We had often talked about trauma, but it wasn't really until we were talking to the mental health team within ISIS that the idea of being able to implement a trauma-informed approach became a reality. So it was a word I'd heard, a phrase that we use, but kind of that conversation about what does that look like for HMP ISIS is when myself, my head of safety, and then the Oxleas team start to have that kind of conversation about what does that mean practically.
Traditionally, we are with the paradigm about kind of what's wrong with you. And what we're trying to do is get a deeper understanding about what's happened to people. Now, actually, probably a lot of the time people are doing this. They are having interactions, they are speaking to people. This isn't actually rocket science or nothing new. We're just providing a framework and a lens for people to understand this a different way.
I think it's about being really clear that we aren't talking about being soft and that we aren't talking about sympathising, we're talking about empathising, and we're talking about having a framework for what we do which makes sense of why individuals behave in a certain way, and how understanding why they behave in a certain way enables us to be able to work with them to change that behaviour, but also gives us the compassion we need and the resilience we need to be able to work with them to change that behaviour. I don't think previously we have acknowledged or tried to support staff who we ask to work in a very stressful environment. And being trauma-informed and delivering a trauma-informed approach is as much about providing support for staff so that they have the resilience to operate effectively in these environments as it is about working with the individuals we care for. I would say that we had made really significant progress if my staff talked about trauma just like they talk about behaviour, so that when they articulate, so that it was a natural form of conversation, and was part of our morning briefings, part of our general discussions about how to look after the young men in our care, that it becomes embedded into our daily conversation. That's when I think we'll know that we've achieved what we set out to achieve.
The point of the movie is to make it accessible and to deploy the very high production values that you can see in the film in ways that would traditionally not be accessed or accessible by the majority of the prison staff population.
The films are aimed at everybody working in the prison. Whoever walks through those prison doors and goes through security, the film is aimed at. The whole kind of the ethos of the film is multidisciplinary. So from healthcare to officers to governors to people that work in OMU to safer custody, it's for everybody that works within the prison.
And that's it for this bumper episode of Oxwide. There's lots more happening over the next month, and we're aiming to cover as much as we can for the next edition. Bye for now.